Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. Couldn't help but notice, Josh, that the name of the show today, now I don't know if the writers do this or if somebody else is responsible. Title of the show today on our streaming platforms, Matt Rhule holding Nebraska hostage, ? Could you clickbait anymore?
Well, old man William came down to my office this morning and he said, not sensational enough.
I hate old man William.
He's
like, I imagine him as an old prospector. You know that bit on SNL where they have the old prospector? Will Ferrell's the old prospector.
I'm familiar.
That's great. That's a great bit.
And,
That's Bill.
And he said,
I call him Bill.
I was going to call the title like Connor was wrong again or something like that, because we're going to talk about that later, how you were wrong again. And they were like, no, don't make it about Connor. You got to make it about Matt Rhule. People want those clicks.
Why do people listen to the show? Is it for me or for Matt Rhule?
Probably Matt Rhule.
Probably Matt Rhule.
If we're being honest.
Yeah, almost for sure Matt Rhule.
They like your opinions, but your opinions on Matt Rhule.
They like that I give opinions.
Yes.
They might not like my opinions.
Sure.
I got a comment on our Locked On podcast yesterday.
Very good podcast.
That said, I was reading. I shouldn't have done this, but I did. One of the comments was, Connor is a disease.
Whoa.
And then there was another person that followed up and said, no different than anything else. CH's takes are usually wild speculation with very little backup.
I think that's
Poll question, am I a disease?
Over the course of the last almost 5 years now, I think, yeah, you just get out there in front of a microphone and you just say whatever crops up into your head.
That's what I do. That's what I do. So here's your backup. Here's Matt Rhule yesterday. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Permanently ready.
We're super back on videos.
Yeah. My brain is working now.
Matt Rhule, he was asked yesterday about Penn State. He said, I love Penn State. It's my alma mater. I love Pat Kraft. I love Nebraska. I love all the things we expected him to say. And then
I love.
I love lamp. And then was given an opportunity to, Sam basically asked him, hey, well, where are some of the areas that you'd like to get better in that aren't in your control? Basically, what are things that can be done around here to make Nebraska a more enticing place to be for a coach, whether it's you or anybody else, but it's you in this case, that aren't in your control. And here is what Matt Rhule said to that yesterday.
I think really now when you talk about football, we have the best facilities, we have the staff. There's really not many things yet. I mean, what Trev started and Troy has been elite. I mean, Troy's, like I said, he's a thought leader. He's a difference maker, and the investment from everybody. The thing I've always said is, like, we have to be unabashed. We can't always worry about the optics of everything. Like, it's a really hard time in higher education. There's cuts, there's all these different things, but we're athletics here is a separate entity. Like, we're not taking money from the university. And so the schools that invest, Dan Lanning had a great quote. I mean, when Oklahoma State, he said, we're investing to win. And that's just players, right? And so, there's, in a world of like $30 and $40 million rosters, which isn't going away, I'd like us to do the same thing. And there's sort of like hey, that's not really the Nebraska way. And I'd like it to be. I'd like to invest. I'd like to be at the front of everything.
It's such a great line.
He nailed it.
It's such a great line. There is like this if you lived here for probably any portion of time, but certainly your entire life, like most of the people who are listening to the show have, you know how it is. Maybe you subconsciously don't realize, because it's just like the way of life around here, but it's not a place where, there is money, right? There that exists, especially here, in Omaha. And we don't like, I'm speaking in very, very broad generalities. We don't like to flaunt it. With our money, we don't like to tell people how much money we have. Right? So we don't buy we don't buy fancy cars and fancy houses just to show people
$40 t-shirts.
Just to show people that we have fancy cars and fancy houses. We like to put our money to work and or reinvest it or whatever it might be, but quietly. Once again, this is a very, very broad generality. Not everybody's the same. And Matt Rhule is looking around at these other programs around the country, and I think he's looking at a couple. Specifically, he mentioned Dan Lanning at Oregon. Oregon has a endless money waterfall from Nike, and they are not afraid to tell people, look, we have an endless money waterfall, and we're connected to one of the biggest brands on planet Earth, biggest clothing apparel brands on planet Earth, and it's centrally focused here, and we get that money infused back into our program because we are an offshoot of that. And he's looking at Texas Tech, and he's saying, my dear close friend Joey McGuire is in charge of a program that not only gets the money from oil tycoon Cody Campbell, who has opinions on things,
Spending that money.
who has opinions on things, but they are now not afraid to say, yeah,
We got money.
you go ahead and report that our tackle's making $3.1 million.
Please,
You fire away.
Tell everyone.
It only helps us in the long run. Our tackle is making $3 million. Is he playing? I don't care. Our tackle is making $3 million. You could come here and you can make $3 million. And when you can make $3 million, you're going to, that place immediately kind of goes to the top of the list. And then they win, right? Like Texas Tech, immediately became a college football. I mean, they're not just a college football playoff contender at this point with the way that the way that football is going around the country right now. They might be a national championship contender now because of what they did to their roster and the money that they got infused into it.
I don't know if I want to go live in Lubbock. That's what the money's for.
That's what the money's for. And so they're looking for, Rhule is looking for a couple things. He's looking for his that's a call to action, right? He is telling people, look, man, in order to be one of these places, you need to do this, but you need to embrace it. People will say over and over again that Nebraska's NIL situation is in great shape. It is. Nebraska's NIL situation is in great shape for the place that it sits currently in college football. Nebraska as an athletic department will never want for anything. The Nebraska as, they usually get what they want. If they go to donors and say, hey, we're in this battle right now. Can you give us a little kickback? Right. And we just feel like we need a little bit more to get over the top. And Rhule is saying, look at how all these other programs operate. They are not afraid to say that we have these things and this place is cool. You hear Rhule say all the time, like, let's be positive about this place. He even said it yesterday. I just want us to be positive about this place. He's talking to the media, which doesn't have really a responsibility in that, but he's really talking to the state. He's really talking to the players, and he's trying to make Nebraska cool. And that's a core thing of what he's doing, which, by the way, just as an offshoot, I also think that's kind of what makes him an interesting candidate at Penn State. But anyway,
think he could make Penn State cool.
That's kind of what they need.
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of what they need. But
it's not Pittsburgh. It's not Philly.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, they call it Pennsyltucky.
That's a conversation for down the road. So, he is absolutely, as people will say this all the time, you probably get sick of hearing it, but he's 100% playing 3D chess. He knows exactly what he's saying. And now he comes into a position where he might have a little bit of leverage. I don't believe this to be a situation where if he doesn't get what he wants, if he doesn't get this investment and this philosophy change from the people around the program who give money to the program, he'll leave. I don't believe this is an ultimatum. I do not. Because I think if he doesn't get that, there's still a great likelihood that he stays. It's not a black and white situation for me. But he's using his leverage to say, I think this is something that I want, and this is something that we could be around here. And then the people who are in charge of the money have to say, okay, if we do this, if we're all the way in, then we gotta be all the way in. We're in on him, specifically him. Because the next coach that comes around, if he at whatever point leaves, and is going to find eventually the same thing. You know, that next coach is going to see this place, and they're going to win. They're going to win enough games, and they're going to say, "I want to go to the next level." And I feel like my way to stay here long term and be here forever is if we go to the next level, and we can't get that unless this happens, right? So it's going to happen. The next coach will find the same thing if it doesn't happen right now. And so the people in charge have to decide, all right, can we do this? Can we? Do we physically have the means to do this? Which I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And do we want to do this? And then, should we, right? Like what does it actually look like? And Rhule specifically mentioned the stadium yesterday. And Dannon, when he came out a couple months ago and said, hey, look, this project is on hold, he literally said the word optics, literally said the word optics. He said, this is not a good time to do it because the university is at a $30 million budget shortfall. They're firing people. They're cutting programs, and it's just not a good time. And we don't want to hear about all the crap that we get from other people outstate. And they say, how in the world do you all have gold-plated toilets and we're cutting educational programs? And Matt Rhule is trying to convince people, number one, that those two don't.
It's not the same pool of money.
Those two do not interact with each other.
If you nerds in the library are too smart or too stupid to understand that, then
but
sorry.
But they have to hear it. But they have to hear it. They do hear it. The people like Dannon and then chancellors and presidents, and board of regents, they hear it.
You want to know the quickest way to get your new books in the library, your new microscopes in the chem lab?
Get more people to go to school.
How do you get more people to go to school? You win football games.
You're right. And we are this is not uncommon in education.
Sure.
Right? Like education people are like, we want education to be education, right?
This is a school. It's not a football academy.
If you're looking at it from a big picture perspective, you're 100% right, Josh. You win football games and you do it at a high level and you're nationally known and all that stuff, it attracts more people to go to your school. And then the university benefits from that in more ways than one, certainly monetarily, right? But also from a brand standpoint and all those other things. So not only the rising tide raises all ships in that situation.
You got a governor who the governor is always going to be pro University of Nebraska, but this governor in particular is going to be like, yeah, you should absolutely give some money to the football program. Look at all the great things it did for me. It could do great things for you too.
And I don't think, Rhule is like this used to be in this situation. Leverage was like, okay, can I get a bigger contract out of this? Like, it's not that simple. It's not that simple anymore. The new version of that is, can I get more money infused into the program in general, right? For my roster. It's for your roster, right? We want a $40 million roster. And I also think he's trying to, he's standing up for the people inside the football program and inside the athletic department as well for them to have, competitive salaries and things like that too. So 100%, he's right. It has always been about optics, and he doesn't want it to be that way anymore. And it's just such an interesting, like inflection point in time that we have now come upon. And really, like, I don't know if I made this clear enough yesterday. I don't think that Matt Rhule is going to leave. I don't. I am interested in the dynamics. I think it is possible. And I think, as John said yesterday afternoon, like, mama comes calling, then you have to evaluate that situation when it happens. but they haven't even started their search yet, right? So I think right now this is an internal conversation, which is it's fascinating. It's such an interesting point to be bringing up right now. And then the smaller point is, of course, Rhule and his future, which I want to be clear again. I don't think he is. I don't think he is using this as an ultimatum. I think he's just using it for leverage. Do we understand the difference? He's using
we
this.
don't understand nuance.
He's using this as a platform to say the things that he wants to say about how things operate around here. And I did got to tell you what, if there was ever a guy to get behind, the all-encompassing, the all-everything CEO of the program, as long as he gets the football right, this would be the right guy.
Seems like a guy you can put your arms around, right? Seems like a guy you can, even if you're not like rah-rah football guy, you can be like, well, he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. It's what an interesting, I mean, that was what, 25 seconds tops?
Yeah.
Right there. Like money. Like that was it from the press conference yesterday.
Influx more money into this program. I can get more money later.
Now, then the question is okay, Matt Rhule, you want more money. Where do we get it from? Where does it come from? And then that's where people are looking for Warren Buffett's phone number.
Pretty simple. Just give him a call. Call him right up.
Warren, I don't think Warren is going to save it. I don't. Because he never has, and he's 100.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll have a change of heart here.
Doesn't seem that way, no.
Yeah.
They know he exists.
They do.
They know
they do.
He's from Nebraska.
So the question is like, is there enough money, resources, whatever it might be, out there? Does Nebraska have the waterfall that Oregon has? Does that exist? Can you identify it, and can you go get it? And how does it work for you? That's what Omaha has always been a tricky, puzzle, I think, to solve. Like, how do we get the money? And I could very easily see this being a, I'm not talking about Warren, for the record. I can see this being a very, if they win enough and people decide that he's the guy that they want to get behind, I could see this being a very uplifting, like a come together moment, and it's all behind that common idea, right? But it's difficult because what he's asking for is a mentality change. That's hard. That's hard. But boy, is he's got some real, presidential, the way we used to think about that word, to him, right? Like we got to get behind this guy, and I want to, it's one person by one person, and we got to think about this a little bit differently. It's fast, but he is absolutely the right guy to be the face of that quote unquote movement. He's much more important than any elected official, right? That is just, I mean, that is the role that he has taken on at this moment. He's the face of that. Anything in the comments?
That's kind of what I was looking for. I was sifting
away, Josh.
Sifting through this, all the national pundits talking about this as stars in my eyes.
Well, yeah, people keep writing articles about who's going to be the head coach where, and I just felt like, honestly, it was the biggest thing out of yesterday, just because circumstantial, right? Functionally, of course, you're going to ask him, but it is now not the top story. The top story is this.
Yeah.
And then how it affects that, if it does at all.
I mean, if anyone,
Your top story tonight.
if anyone,
Matt Rhule wants money.
film at 11.
What's the guy's name on ABC? I'm David Muir. David Muir I'm always very serious.
Live in Lincoln, I'm wearing one of those army helmets and a vest.
Something
I don't think
horrible.
that's necessary, David.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Muir. Something horrible has happened tonight.
Thank you, David Muir.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it. All right. So
if anyone can talk these people into
holy
farting
smokes.
with their money, isn't it Matt Rhule? Like,
holy smokes.
Regardless of whether you think he's a snake oil salesman or a genuinely good guy, I would think, hey, just get Matt Rhule in a room and have him start talking to people. And I think you'll have more money than you did at the start of the whatever event you're holding.
Yep. I think so too. From the 402, Connor, 402. I think Nebraska needs Gus Johnson to go around asking donors for money.
And what would that sound like?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Jeff writes in,
Jeff.
But I've been told college makes you a lib.
I have heard that. How do you think about that? Gonna be awkward if the governor's running around asking people for money. I know I told you this institution was horrible in its crumbling society, but they could use some more money. I'd like you to be the person to give it to them.
Alan Bell is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.